Hey everyone, my name is Lauren Grier, and today I'm going to tell you about my developer journey. It really started way back in the day, but we're not gonna start there. At the time, I didn't have enough grit. I thought that I wasn't smart enough, honestly, and so I stopped after one semester and I changed my major. Well, in the meantime, I became an all-star cheerleading judge. I was a gymnast, and so I knew how to explain tumbling. When the pandemic happened, when the pandemic happened, we weren't able to have competitions anymore. We couldn't travel. We couldn't have large audiences in arenas here and there and everywhere all over the country. So many of the cheerleading businesses had to figure out how to keep going. I had a couple of friends reach out to me that they were starting a consulting business and they needed a website. And they said, "You're techie, right?" And I said, "Well, I don't know how to code, but I'll try to build your website." We ended up going with Wix, and I was able to figure it out enough for them to launch their business. From word of mouth, I was able to do websites for other people, work with different clients, and next thing you know, it had been 2 years, and I was still I was still building websites on Wix without any code. And as my client need grew, so did my abilities to be able to create what they wanted. So I had to start looking into coding websites. I started on Team Treehouse. Thanks, Chris Sean. Appreciate that. I started on Team Treehouse, and honestly, I still wasn't sure if I was right for it. I still wasn't sure if I should be a developer. I could think of every reason why I shouldn't be, instead of thinking of the one reason why I should be. And it's because I really want it. I really enjoy it. I thought, I can't do this on my own. I need classes. I'm a schoolgirl. I love to go to school. So I tried to go back to school, and I got into a program, but it was a Python program. I had studied, I was up all night, but the financial aid didn't work. It didn't work out. And I don't have the money in my pocket, certainly, to go to school without financial aid. So I backtracked and I went back to front-end development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. What I realized is that HTML is not really difficult. It just is what it is. CSS is not really difficult. It's just a lot that you can do with it. And I hadn't even really gotten into JavaScript at that time. But I thought I had really learned something until I realized there was so much more that we could really do with front-end development. So I just started diving in. From there, I went to Zero to Mastery, which I really enjoyed because it was kind of cool. It was like what the cool kids were doing. But what I realized is that it didn't really explain what I needed. So I did end up having to look up a lot of the things, because as time goes by, the courses were going out of the courses were not up to date. So you'd be following along, and then all of a sudden something would break and something wouldn't work, and I'd have to try to figure it out. And what I realized is that's really what programming is about. But sometimes I would have to go back and kind of figure out what was happening, and it would be frustrating, but I didn't quit. I finished my Zero to Mastery web developer course. Now I'm kind of brushing up on the things that I didn't quite understand, or the things that I had to kind of research on my own, just a little bit too much perhaps. And I'm taking JavaScript courses and React course. But now I feel like I can call myself a web developer. I've built websites, I've worked on projects, I've followed tutorials, I've done a ton. And one day, maybe a month or two ago, I realized that In my web developer accountability group, somebody asked a question and I was able to look at her code and say, hey, you actually did this here, and we just have to move that here, and this is why it's not working. And that was the moment I realized I really am learning. I really am understanding these concepts. I'm not master. I'm not a tech lead as a millionaire, but I am actually a web developer.